Lanka, a small island nation below the southern tip of India, has had more than its fair share of pain. From the early 80s to 2009, it had a brutal civil war that left tens of thousands dead and missing. I recently traveled to the country to see how people were faring 8 years after the conflict. My focus was on northern Sri Lanka, the war-torn area, where women were leading protests over military-occupied land and the disappeared. No one knows for sure, but human rights groups estimate as many as 100,000 people went missing during the war. In 2015, the country elected a new president who promised to help people find out what happened to their missing relatives, many of whom were likely killed by government forces. But it's been almost 2 years, and that government still hasn't provided answers, and plenty of Sri Lankans believe their loved ones are still alive. Many of the women have been protesting since January. They sit in the heat, silently, crying sometimes, all holding pictures of their loved ones. It was really challenging to do that kind of reporting because there were dozens of women in some of these protests, and everyone wanted to talk to us. I'd be in the middle of a really intense interview with a woman, and there would be another woman on the side of me gesturing to me, wanting me to talk to her next. I think the assumption was on their part that if I were to tell their stories, if I were to name their relatives, that their story would then get attention and, eventually they would find out what happened to their missing relatives.